What Happened This Week podcast. Just two best friends chatting in the trailer about all the things you are thinking about. Because you never know with Kim and Tricia.
All right, guys. So this week we're coming at you virtually. Tricia is at home and I am at home because I was gone this weekend. I went on a little mini vacation, whoop whoop. And normally we like to record on Sundays, not Saturdays, Sundays. And so here we are. So it's Monday night. I can't believe we're actually recording on a Monday night because Mondays are tough.
They are, but, you know, I guess today wasn't too terrible. Was yours bad?
It was horrible. I mean, words can't describe. I mean, I don't even know what to think anymore. I think I'm just crying to cry. You know, I came home yesterday after a vacation, mini vacation, and to no power. Well, when I say no power, we had AC. We just didn't have lights, TV. All of our TVs run off the internet, so we had no internet, so we had no TVs. And so we had an issue last week, actually. For about 2 days, the power went out. For some reason, we share meters with three other lots. So there's 4 lots on a meter. There was an issue with that, and I think this was kind of an afterthought because of that. And then the lot lord, who I am disgusted with. I am writing a novel right now. I'm going to put them on blast. I'm going to take out a full-page ad in the RV magazine and put Florida Days on blast. I can't do it now because I need a place to live. But rest assured, Taylor was like, "Oh my gosh, Mom, I can't believe you wrote all this down." I'm like, I'm dates and times. I am over this place. It's now knowing it's more, I mean, it's cheaper, so I think we're living like in the slums, so I get it, but at the same time, it really sucks. So when I came home yesterday, like I said, we had no power, and James goes over to the lot lord. It's about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's like, "Hey, dude, we have no power." He's like, "Oh, well, I guess I'll call FP&L tomorrow." I'm like, no, they could be called today. And
I mean, like tomorrow, it's like, it's an emergency. I don't have power. It's not like, "Oh, hey, there's some ants outside of my patio. Okay, I'll deal with it tomorrow. Thanks." No, I have no power.
Right. So I'm like livid. I'm just crying. I'm just like, I can't even deal with this. And I told James, I said, if I go down there and talk to him, we're going to get kicked out of here and the cops are going to get called. Because I'm about 2 seconds from whooping his ass. Excuse me, my mouth. But seriously, that's where I was yesterday. So then James said, "You know what? I'll go get the welding trailer now, or go get a generator." Now we have like a huge generator that we have at his parents' that we use to power the whole house. Picked it up on an awesome steal at the auction. It's great, but you have to wheel it and then you'd have to trailer it. So instead, James's dad has a welding trailer that he uses for like the stuff on the tractors and things. So he brought this big old welding trailer, and it's not just like the average generator noise. This is like times 3,000, right? And when James said to the lot lord, he said, James is like, "Well, we're going to have to run off the generator." And the lot lord's like, "Do what you got to do." But I think he thought that we were just going to be using like one of those little Honda, get-ups or whatever that RVs usually would have. Oh no. Exactly. We woke up the whole neighborhood. Actually, a neighbor came over to our door last night and knocked on it to make sure we were okay. Like, we're fine. We have the loudest generator, and it's like hurricane. Like, we're just preparing you all for what this sounds like, because this is what it sounds like. So James had to go out there and fill it up with gas. And then again this morning, and the lot lord shows up about 10 o'clock, and he says immediately he shows up with the electrician, it's your RV. It's not us. I'm like, of course you would say that. And I'm telling you right now, process of elimination, if my entire RV is running off of that generator, there is something wrong with the box. It doesn't take a scientist to figure that out.
Exactly. So, and if something happened, it's because your box burnt something on my RV.
Well, that was our biggest concern. That was our biggest concern yesterday, was hoping that something hadn't tripped up and we were going to have this whole thing rewired. Then I would have sued him, and that would have been a whole nother nightmare, right? So, needless to say, the electrician wanted to get into our fuse box. So at that time, James's dad came over. He just was a little uncomfortable with somebody opening up our fuse box. But meanwhile, the lot lord goes back to his, probably smoking cigarettes and drinking beer, whatever he does, because he does nothing. The electrician comes back by himself, and he was like, "Oh no, it's definitely the meter." He was like, "This place is so badly wired." He's like, "Every time they call me, which is really rare," he said, "because they don't like to spend the money, it's always a big deal." And he says, "I've told them many a times they need to rewire this place. It's just falling apart." And he's like, I'm going to go down there and tell him that it's him. And he's not going to like what I have to say because he's going to automatically always assume that it's you.
Right.
So that was like at 10:30. I had to go out to work, whatever. We're still running off the generator. And it's like 1:00. I text James. I'm like, hey, have you talked to the lot lord? Because, you know, if I call him, all hell's going to break loose.
Yeah, you're just done.
I'm done. He's like, no. And I'm like, well, no, you need to call him or text him. So, of course, he texts him or calls him. And they have an electrician come back out, and FP&L's here, and they fixed it. So at about 3:00 is when it got done. 3:02 to be exact, because I have all this written down, just so you know.
And then, so did James's dad take the trailer back, or did you leave it there just in case?
No, he took the trailer back. But what was funny is yesterday, whenever I went over his parents in the afternoon, and James's dad said something like, he's like, I have a welding project. I said, bring it over. Whatever you got, bring it here and start welding in the yard. I don't care. At the campsite. I don't really care. They're not going to inconvenience anyone any longer. This is just ridiculous. So the other funny thing is there's this lady, I think I've mentioned her before. She's been here for 7 years.
Yes.
She lives behind us. So this afternoon, she comes walking out. She's like, oh my gosh, what's going on? I started using a lot of curse words, and I said a lot, Lord, Sean is a jerk. She's like, oh my gosh, really? I'm like, oh, you have no idea. I'm like, this is ridiculous. He could have, and James was trying to steal power last night from the other lot, but we didn't have an extension cord long enough, and it's like a 220, which is like your dryer type, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been a nightmare. So I just came home to that. So it's just been, we had issues last week. So then it's again this week. So it's just, you know, not having power. And the other thing that's really inconvenient is that during the day I leave, and having the dogs in the camper with no AC is not cool, because it's not like a house where like you can crack a door, or, you know, it's a lot different. So yeah, it's been hell. So how was your week with mommy daycare?
So it went well. You know, I sent you that picture like Sunday night, and I had in my planner written it down and kind of planned things out hour by hour. And you know, you're like, don't try to stick to like a set plan. And I didn't necessarily need it to be like down to the minute. I just didn't want us to get away, like, you know, from things that we wanted to get done. So it started out, you know, she had an eye appointment at like 10:00 in the morning. So I had to wake Grady up. And we were going to meet Jason at the eye appointment. We're in the car, loaded up. Jason calls me. He's like, don't leave. I was like, okay, what? Like, we're already in the car, you know? He says the eye doctor just called and they won't take the insurance. Okay, they couldn't have figured that out when we made the appointment 2 weeks ago. Okay.
Oh, my gosh.
Because, okay, so we have vision insurance. And we got the family plan because I knew Reagan would need to be checked at some point, because Jason has terrible vision, and so did both his sisters. Nobody on my side has glasses, but everybody on Jason's side does. And I was just like, if it goes that way, they need them checked, you know?
Right.
So we have vision insurance. We have health insurance. Pediatric eye doctors, they only use health insurance. It's like if there's an issue like with the eye itself.
Okay.
And so the pediatrician told us we needed to go because when we were there for her 3-year-old checkup, one eye was 20/20 and one was 20/40. And she's like, it's not that big of a deal. But because one is different than the other, and she's like squinting to, you know, look at some things, just go ahead and take her. Okay. Well, Blue Cross Blue Shield doesn't see that as a big enough reason, and they won't pay for it. And none of these pediatric ophthalmologists take our vision plans. So I'm like, oh, what am I supposed to do? Like, I've done everything right on my side, okay? I have health insurance and vision insurance, and I can't get her eyes checked. But this is crap, you know? And at this point, I'm like, we're already out of the house. Like, what are we going to do? I said, all right, you know what? We're just going to go to the dollar store now. Because you had told me to go to the dollar store, let her pick out her things, you know, get the stuff for the party. So I'm like, let's just do this right now. And I told Jason, figure out the eyes. Like, I just can't, you know? Like, oh my God. He's like, I got this. Don't worry. I'm like, okay. So we go to the dollar store, and I was like, baby, you can pick out whatever you want. I didn't even give her a limit. I was like, pick out whatever you want. It was like pulling teeth. Reagan, do you like this? No. Okay. Finally, she picked up like a Frozen puzzle. And she got she got a unicorn and a Pegasus horse and a Farbie. Jason calls it a Farbie because it's a fake Barbie. Fake,
right.
And she's very handsome, to say the least. And she's like, okay, I want to go home and play with my toys. Like, no, you can get more. No, I'm ready to go. Like, we've been there like 4 minutes, you know? I'm like, no, you can get more. No, Mommy, I'm ready. Okay, so I figured, hold on, let's go. We went and walked through the Halloween section because she's gotten scared lately of like, you know, as she gets older, she got scared in her imagination.
Right.
So I thought if she got to pick out decorations herself, then it'd be a little more fun and she might not be as scared. So she picked out like 2 decorations. I mean, they're $1. Who cares, you know?
Right. Exactly.
And then we left and we came home. And as we're going home, Jason was like, hey, I got her in with another doctor at like 12:30. I was like, all right, which worked out fine because by then Jason's mom was home and she kept the baby. And then Jason and I went and took her to that eye doctor, which was in that 900 building. So I ran that errand for you and I.
Oh, that's right.
So that worked out well. I could kill 2 birds with 1 stone. So Monday was kind of like shot with that. And then, so Tuesday we kind of like got more into it, like more into like doing this. And we had bought her the ABC, or Jason's mom bought her ABC mouse like a few months ago. We just hadn't, like she'd done it here and there, but I want her to start making sure she's learning things because she goes to a babysitter and not a daycare.
Right.
And Miss Dahlia said from the beginning, she's like, I don't teach. I'm not a teacher and I don't teach. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. Just make sure my babies are loved and, you know. Well.
Right.
So, and she learns, she knows all her colors and because, you know, she watches shows and like they're educational shows, and we do stuff with colors and letters and stuff at home. So I just thought, well, let's start on this. And so every morning we would go and do her ABC mouse and she loved it. Absolutely loved it. And we went for a walk. One day, we went for a walk, and we went down. Tuesday, we went for a walk, and she had to push her baby in the stroller. I pushed Reagan in the stroller. And then we had to come home and get her bike. We rode her bike. We came home, and nap time was the best part of the day.
I bet.
It was. So then by Wednesday, we made decorations. Thursday, we made cupcakes and cake. I did a cake and I did cupcakes because I figured she could eat the cupcakes after we made them. Because how you be like, hey, we just made this cake and you can't have it until tomorrow. So
right.
So she could have like the little mini cupcakes, and then we decorated Friday morning, and then she had to take her nap, and she had her party with all her animals, and Mimi bought her a present. So she did really well. I think it went a lot better than I thought. Once we were on a schedule, I mean, don't get me wrong. When I said that today wasn't that bad of a day. Usually Mondays are really tough, but today was fantastic.
Well, yeah, you're only with 1. Exactly. Back to normal.
Yes, exactly.
I had to play with my audio effects now. That's fun.
Exactly.
Well, that's good. So I'm glad that it all worked out. You know, sometimes we always put more thought into it versus than what it really needs to be. Because sometimes, you know, with the kids, you just have to go with the flow. You know, It's like you can't really have an agenda. Taylor's big about agendas, and it's like sometimes you just have to be able just to roll the punches because you never know what's going to happen. You know, you might have, you know, Grady who's not on. You know, he's a good sleeper, but he might just, you know, not sleep that day.
Right.
And then you're like,
up and mess everything up or whatever. I mean, I have to get away from like keeping things scheduled sometimes too, because when things don't go your way, I have a hard time with adjusting. Mm-hmm. So then it becomes tough, you know, because I do like things so planned out that when it changes, I have a hard time changing gears.
Right. Agreed.
And so I need to work on that a little.
Me too. But you know what I will say when I start drinking though, all my plans go out the window. I don't care.
Oh yeah,
like,
that doesn't matter. Exactly.
I don't care what I look like. I don't care anything, you know, but when I try to be, I'm a good planner. Like I have my notes in my phone and I try to plan for things, you know, but like when I go on vacations and things like that, I just don't like to have an agenda because I feel like then you kind of lose out on like other stuff, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I like to have some sort of like thing, like when we go, especially like to a town we've never been to before, I like to have like some sort of layout of what we want to do. I don't want to miss the things we want to do, so we can get them done. Like for our honeymoon when we went to New York City, I mean, there's some things you had to schedule. You know,
right.
You had to schedule the Statue of Liberty at Ellis Island and, you know, the 9/11 memorial. Like those things had to be scheduled. But some things we didn't have to. We were just able to be like, okay, well, when we get there, we'll get there. Things like that. So that I like a little bit of a mixture of that. So that was good. I will say, I mean, it wasn't all rainbows and sunshine, and to a fact of like mental health and mental health awareness. Like, we put this podcast out, and it may seem to everybody that life is great and it's rainbows and happiness all the time, and it's not. I mean, I definitely I had a breakdown on Thursday. I mean, I walked out of my house. I just left my house. I went to the gas station and came back, but that was as big as my monumental walkout was. And then on Sunday, like I just did on Sunday, I just told my husband, I was like, I just feel like the walls are closing in on me and I don't know what to do. And, and he always is so fantastic because he wants to fix things, and I'm like, I said, I'm not, like, you can't fix this. It's just because there's so much going on at one time, like we talked about last week, like building this house, you and I have other ventures going on right now. The kids, Reagan was home all week, and, it's just been hard. And, I'm like, I don't need you to fix this. I just need you to understand how I'm feeling.
Right.
And it's been tough, and I don't want people to ever think that, because we're yes, 95%, 99% of stuff that you and I are going to put out there is going to be happy, funny stuff. Nobody wants to hear not fun stuff. Right. But I don't want anyone to ever like get the misconception that sometimes it's bad, like even for you, like in your camper life, like we may joke about it, but you have times you're just like, oh, like literally, oh my God, like I can't do this,
Right.
And,
like I'm gonna have a breakdown. Like that was like yesterday. I was like, I couldn't eat. I like the minute James would talk to me, I'd just start crying. And I'm like, I don't even know what's wrong with me. I just mentally, I'm just broken. And I feel like, there's a lot going on when I'm living in it and I'm working in it. And then I'm having to be responsible and I leave my dogs in here. And, I've got to get to work. And it's just like, there's so much going on. And it's mentally just, sometimes you just have to tap out. And it's hard because as a woman, you're a multitasker. It's like your job to take care of everyone. And when you're broken, it's really hard to pick up the pieces and roll with life,
Mm-hmm. And I think like a lot of it is, we're getting down to like the very, like, the next few months we'll be moving into our house, right? And we've been living here for 3 years, unbelievably thankful for being able to live here, having, Mimi and Grampy's help, just raising our family has been a tremendous help. I mean, I could never even explain to people how fantastic it's been, but because we're all so busy, it's like things are just piling up. And like in our room, like we only have like our room and the baby sleeps in our room. So there's just stuff. I can't go in there to rearrange it because he's sleeping, and, I don't know like if you're this way or not, but if I take a shower and I get hot after the shower, it is like instant fury for me. Like I am so annoyed and so like infuriated because I'm sweating after taking a shower. And like in the circumstance, I can't like, so I take this because we use the guest bathroom here. When I shower, I have to now get dressed in there because the baby's in the other room. Mm-hmm. And I can't open the door to air it out because it's right. In the middle of, like, hey guys, here I am in my panties, and I'm not at the weight I want to be. So I'm putting my pants on, which, in like sticky after taking a shower, putting on my pants, it's hot. Like I'm sweat. Like once I start to sweat, it is like, I have no, like, I'm just like on a warpath. I don't know.
I'm like that all the time because I'm like a hot box. Like I sweat all the time. I sweat in Alaska, and I noticed that even like just in and out of the camper. I mean, the air once it stops, it's off in here. It really does just stop. Mm-hmm. It doesn't circulate. So I just sweat, and I'm just like, I don't even bother taking a shower. It's like I'm just gonna sweat. And I like even when we were on the River Ranch, I'm like I'm just a hot mess. I'm tired of just being hot and sweaty all the time. I'm like this is just my life. I'm like I need to lose weight because I've got too much damn fur on my body. I think I got with all this extra weight. But yeah, I totally get that. I'm totally like the same way. It's especially when trying to change when you're in the shower. Like I was trying to do that this weekend at River Ranch, and Taylor, I was like, Taylor, you know what? I'm about to let sexy roll out. So I come out naked. I don't even care. And she was like, are you dressed yet? I'm like, I'm at 50%. I'm like, I'm at 75. And at one time I told her 75, or 100, but I was really at 75. She's like, Mom, put your clothes on. I'm like, listen, Linda, it's hot up in here. This AC is not working properly. And I am enjoying my time, in a big room, which it wasn't even that big of a room, but to me it was luxury,
Yeah, no, I mean, I hear you. Like, I sweat a lot too. Like, I'm a sweater, and I don't mind like sweating. Like, I'm going for a walk, or like tonight I went out and helped Jason out at the property because Grampy was working late, and I was like, well, I don't want him on scaffolding if there's nobody else out there, so I went out there with him. And I swept the whole house, sweeping the house pad. There's a lot of water sitting on it, but there's a lot of dirt and sand. So I was trying to sweep all that off so that they can start framing it when they're done. Anyway, and I don't mind sweating. Like, I do not mind working hard, and I don't mind sweating. One reason is probably we don't leave the house that often is like getting the baby in and out of the car, and it's so hot. And like, I just, do you know what I mean? And I'm just like, oh my God, like, I just feel so disgusting, and so, yes. So I'm sorry. I feel like this is my complaint episode. I will tell you my next complaint that I learned this week that is infuriating to me are baby wipes. Like you don't like them? Here's the thing. So when Gavin and Taylor were little, they came in like a plastic bin, and you refilled the bin, right? And you'd pull the wipe up, and it would grab, so it's like Kleenex, like they'd stop. Right. Well, now they come in a bag like thing with the top. And so when you grab one, you get like 8. And when and so when you first open it, it's tight. So when you grab one, it's got enough friction to stop just one. But when you get about halfway, as you grab, like 3 or 4 come, and of course you're like, oh God. So you're like yanking it to like try to get it off, and then 4 more come. And it's like, oh my God. And you got like poop everywhere. And it's like, yes, that was the second thing this week that I figured out was ticking me off. So, yeah. So I take it you're not going to be opening up a daycare anytime soon. Oh my God, Lord help us all. No way. Absolutely not. I think that it would be easier for me if again, like I like to designate times. Like if I had resigned myself to this is my life, right? Like this is what I do. I take care of both kids. They're with me all day. Like we could do things, and this is my life, right? But I have a lot going on outside of just that. So knowing that none of those things are getting done, right? Or trying to get them done at the same time because it's not possible, then that's where it starts to become harder. Yes, and I would say my view on that is that would never, ever in a million trillion years want to be a stay-at-home mom. I don't know. I have more power to the ones that do, and they milk their cows at 5 a.m. and they play with their goats and they do whatever they do, or homeschool their kid. I never saw that in the cards for me. Not that I looked down on anyone like that. It just wasn't what my life. It was never for me either. And I don't know if it was because we weren't raised that way, maybe. But it's just not my style. Like, I just, Yeah. I don't know. It was... Mm-hmm. Go ahead. I would say it did bring Reagan and I... Like, Reagan, we just had such a good week, so she just wants to be with her mommy now, and she comes home. And, so that was definitely a nice, little spin-off of it, that she just wants to... But now she just wants mommy, so nobody else can do the work. Yeah. Now you just set yourself up on that one. No way. Yeah, that's just being to me, it was always important to make money and be in a career. Like that just wasn't. I think that's probably a lot to do with the two being raised. My mom was pretty much, even though she was married, but single mom and taking care of me, and so that's all I ever did was see her work. So that's what I was used to, and I just never really saw being a mom either. It just never really was something that I wanted to do. And so, I enjoy being a mom, and I enjoy my time with Taylor, but it's a lot easier when she's older. We can hang out, and go to River Ranch and, do that kind of stuff, Exactly. I mean, I love being a mother, don't get me wrong. And I always knew I wanted to be a mother, and I always, my heart, is so full and complete with my children, especially when it was just me and Gab, and it was, I was like, this is all it's going to be is me and Gavin. I was okay with that. I mean, I had, this perfect little boy and just, a lot of love, and it was okay. And then finding Jason and falling in love, I didn't realize how much Gavin and I had missing pieces of our puzzle until we met Jason and had Reagan, and then finally had Grady. It's like, I mean, I have such peace knowing that this is good. Like, I have no, like, we should have had another baby. Like, no, like, I am definitely at peace with this.
God,
this
no.
whole puzzle's been put together. Yeah, no, that's what I mean though. Like, I have no, like, after having Reagan, I knew that I needed one more baby, and that was it. And I know for sure I don't need any more babies. And so I just, I didn't realize that Gavin and I had missing puzzle pieces until I met Jason. Like, I was fine with my puzzle.
Well, it's all about, the amount of mouths you have to feed. And then, there's a lot that there's a lot that goes along with that. And there's a lot, sometimes I think too, especially when you see these like shows that are like, 8+8, like these people, they have like multiple kids. There is some type of, and I don't, that someone can argue that with me, but I firmly believe that there is, I don't want to say the word neglect, but I don't feel like you're really able to truly bond with that child one-on-one when you have 9 and you see the other 7 taking care of the youngest 2. It's just, to me, it may work for them and they have their dynamic, but I just don't feel like that one-on-one that you can have with, 2 or 3 is a lot different than having 9. It's just different to me.
I mean, for sure. I mean, having small children and having, an older child, like I used to call them like the big and the littles. It's really hard to make sure Gavin's cup is full because littles take up so much energy and time. And so making sure that his cup is full, and, he's gotten to an age now where he wants, to be independent and do like his thing and, be with his friends and do his thing. And I just miss him, and
yeah.
So when they're little and, we used to have Friday night game night and we would do a lot of things together. And I just hope that, the time will come, it'll come back around and maybe I'll, be important again. But, and that's just the way it goes. I think of myself at 17 and I didn't do game night with my mom. So,
heck no.
I am fortunate because I can be like, hey, like, what's your week look like? And we're going to go on a walk tomorrow, which is so nice. I just get to be with, we're pushing Grady in the stroller, but Grady won't mind our conversation,
Right.
So just some little bit of time for him and I to kind of just catch back up or whatnot. Cause it's so busy, and he wants to, I get it. He wants to be with his friends and do his thing. And, I guess I'll just be waiting for when he needs me.
Yeah, that's really it, though. I mean, think about it when you were at that age, too. I mean, I was the same way. I couldn't wait to get out of the house, but driving, and I didn't want to hang around my mom, and my circumstances were a lot different. It wasn't a very warm and welcoming and friendly environment to begin with. That's why I left so early. But, I just, I mean, they're kids. That's what they want to do. I'm surprised Taylor still wants to hang out with me. I'm kind of like, I kind of want to encourage her to get out there a little bit, and hopefully she'll start driving soon. We had that conversation this weekend, and she's like, I see my friends driving, and it's kind of giving me some confidence. And I'm like, but then some friends make fun of me because I don't drive. I said, well, you should be driving. You know what? I'm going to give you hard love. I'm going to make fun of you too, because you're 17 years old, and you know what?
I had a car.
And she has a vehicle. And, we had a friend in high school. I'm not going to name her name. Her name was Karen. And I was having a conversation with somebody who we knew, this friend, Karen, and they were talking and they were saying, oh, is Taylor driving yet? I said, she is. And I said, blank, but really Karen. She goes, you got to be kidding me. She was this one particular person, Karen, refused to get her driver's license, okay, until her parents bought her a car. Now, a little different scenario because Taylor has a car. She didn't get her driver's license until she was 22 years old, and everybody was driving her around everywhere, and she just was very adamant, and I think she was probably partly was scared. And so I told Taylor, like, when you go off to college, like, even so, funny thing is I rented a golf cart for the weekend. Super cool that you need a golf cart to run around River Ranch. And I haven't told her this, and I think I told you this earlier. I have to tell her sometime that you had to be 18 to drive the golf cart. If she knew that, she would have never have driven it. But I made her drive it the whole weekend because, you've even said, gives them practice, And so she's like, Mom, should I park here? Should I park there? And I'm like, what are you going to do when you go to college? what? You gonna call me and ask me what time you should eat? I'm like, what is wrong with you?
Yeah.
I'm like, you are a big girl. Stop. I'm like, you just need to spread your wings a little bit and just, I mean, while she's independent, like she gets things done. She should be your daughter. She just gets very,
I'll tell you, she called Miss
she,
Tricia. She'll help park.
she just has anxiety about everything. So I'm over here like, whatever, take me to the bar. I got a DD, you know? And I mean, granted, I only had 3 beers the whole weekend, so I didn't really even drink. She even said, Mom, do you want to, I think she was scoping out some cowboys because there was a rodeo, but it's actually a legit rodeo. It's like a small circuit rodeo. It's not like your, what is it, Frost, the guy from 8 Seconds, like PBR or whatever it is. But it's a lower end rodeo, but people from all over, like they had one from Okeechobee, they had Sebring, Wauchula, West Palm Beach. She actually was a barrel racer and she fell and got hurt. They had to escort her out. But they actually do race and ride bulls for money. And then eventually they get to a champion. It's just kind of like, beauty pageants, right? You start local, regional, and then you move your way up. So this is a legit rodeo. These people are actually doing it for the right reasons or doing it, And she saw some cowboys. She was taking their names down and looking them up on Instagram. So we must have rode around 500 circles around this one part that they were parked at. I'm like, well, if we're going to do this, can I go get a beer? Like, really? I'm like, she's like, do you want to go she's like, if you want to go in the saloon, I think I'm allowed in there. You can, get a drink. And I'm like, okay, this is not cool. My kid's telling me I can go in there and get a drink. I'm like, no, we're fine. We're just good. Just let's keep rolling around the teepees. Okay. Like, what is this? What are we doing?
Awesome.
Am I your sidekick here? Like, are we scoping him out? I'm like, why don't you just go up to him? I'll go up to him if you want. No, Mom, no. I said, you go bring me to the saloon, get me 2 Tito's, and I'll have them on the dance floor with you. Oh, no. So I was like, you got it. I said, I know you want a boyfriend. You got to put yourself out there. You can't just be so shy about it. So I'm trying to work on that with her. So hopefully whenever, she gets into college, that'll change. I don't know. We'll see.
You're like her wingman.
Oh, I told James that I text James a video of one of the guys staying on there for not 44 seconds. That's pretty long. I think it's like 22 seconds. And I sent him a video of it. And he's like, "Don't you be messing with them cowboys." I said, "Cowboys' butts drive me nuts."
He was on there for 22 seconds. You sure? It's only an 8-second ride.
Well, was he?
Right?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe it was the 2 scores added together. Maybe it was a 2 score because they go twice. They go twice, and then they do an average. Okay. So maybe it was like the added together it was 22, but only one qualified, and that was him. The rest of them didn't qualify because they didn't even stay on there they all stayed on there for less than 3 seconds. So I guess you don't even qualify. So this kind of guy won by default.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. Yeah.
Oh my God. So I told you that we had. Yeah. I told you we had bought our appliances 4th of July weekend.
Right.
Right there?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So we bought them because it was cheaper, right? And we saved like $2,000. No big deal. And the guy was like, okay, like, when do you need them? Like, well, he's like, I'll put it like in September. When they call you, just tell them and they'll push it back further. Like, okay, great. So I hadn't heard anything from them, and I pulled up the receipt. The receipt said they were supposed to be delivered like September 5th, and this was like the 10th. And I was like, well, that's kind of crazy. Let me call. So I call, and I get the lady, and she's like, I was just gonna call you. Like, sure you were, whatever. Okay. We're gonna deliver them next week. And I was like, okay, that's fine. Like, we were just kind of see if we could push it back a little further. The house isn't done yet. And she's like, oh, absolutely not. I'm supposed to have these out of the warehouse within 60 days, and it's been over 90. I was like, it hasn't been 90 days. She's like, oh, yes, it has. I was like, math is hard. I get that. But no, it hasn't been 90 days, lady. Gosh.
Oh, my gosh. She was arguing with you?
Yeah, and she's like, it's well over 90 days. I was like, it's actually not, but okay. And so when we ordered it, the guy was like, oh, yeah, no problem. We have plenty of room in the warehouse. Like, I don't care. They'll hold them. Like, okay, fine, whatever. So the lady's like, well, I'm going to call you next week and set up delivery. I was like, fine, whatever. I said, well, we're going to need you to deliver them not to the address because we have to get the storage unit for these appliances now. Because we already talked about it. They couldn't push it back fine. The storage unit's like $100 a month. Even if it's in there for 3 months, it's $300. We still save $2,000. We're still ahead of this game, right? So the guy calls Jason, not the following week, but like 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, and Jason's like, yeah, he says, all right, we gotta set up your delivery. We don't have your washer and dryer. It's still not in yet. We can give you something similar. And Jason's like, no big deal. I don't need my washer and dryer right now. I don't have a house,
Right.
He's like, oh, he's like, well, do you want the rest of these right now? And Jason's like, preferably no. And he's like, well, we can hold on to them. It's no big deal. Sweet. Cool. The guy's like the guy ahead of appliances. And so he's like, yeah, no problem. Jason's like, well, I got to change the address, whatever. He can't deliver him to Ludlam. There's no house there. And he's like, okay, no problem. That was like a week ago. Friday at about 3 o'clock, Jason gets a call from the Lowe's delivery guy. Hey, we're about 30 minutes away from Ludlam to deliver your appliances. Okay.
What?
No call the day before, no call the week before to say this is the day in the window that we're coming. Just a call from the delivery guys 30 minutes before they're going to show up at an address that doesn't have a house yet. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Luckily, we had gotten the storage unit before. And I said, Jason, you're going to have to go meet them there. And I had to we didn't have a lock on it yet. We had the storage unit like a week or so, but I never got a lock for it. There's nothing in it. I didn't put the lock on it yet. And so I brought them the lock, but the delivery, Jason's like, fine, whatever. And the delivery guy's like, yeah, I got your washer and dryer, which they said they didn't have, your refrigerator, your dishwasher, and your 3 microwaves.
3 microwaves?
Like, what? My 3 microwaves? Like, I don't, guy's like, yeah. She's like, warehouse manager said you have 3 microwaves. And I said, who orders 3 microwaves? And she's like,
two
whatever, it's on
backups?
there, take them to them. Yeah, like who would need 3 microwaves? And apparently the delivery guy said that the guy Jason talked to is super nice. The lady I talked to is the warehouse manager. The guy Jason talked to is the appliance manager. Apparently they must have issues because they don't talk to each other. But that lady on Friday morning told those guys, I don't want to see these in here anymore. Get them out. Didn't even call the customer. Like, I was beside myself with this. And so I go back to our receipt, and sure enough, we bought 3 microwaves. And I said, oh my God, like I never caught that. When you buy the appliances, you're back in the appliance. So we went to Lowe's. They were having this sale. We went on a Monday evening. By the time we could get there, have no kids, that's when we went. I already knew what I wanted. I picked everything out online that I knew I wanted. So it shouldn't have been that hard, right?
Right.
And the guy was like so annoyed with us. He was like, well, there'll be another big sale Labor Day. And I was like, well, this is what I want though. And I know you have this now. This is what I want. Like, I've already done all this research. I'm ready to go. And he's like, oh, so you want to do this now? And I'm like, dude, like, I don't know. I don't know if they make commission or not or what. It's a sale. We spent $6,000 that Monday night. Okay, $6,000. Like, you might be a little more excited for this, like not annoyed that you have to ring this up.
Right.
And so she's like, okay, come look at the screen. Like, this is what you got, the microwave. Like, it's like a DOS screen. Like, they're using.
Yes, I know it. Yeah, they're on the old DOS program. I know what you're talking about. Little dot.
And I'm like, okay, yeah, it looks good. Because he's like, okay, this is the Samsung refrigerator with the smart thing in it. This is your, gas dryer. This is your washer, whatever. I'm like, yeah, okay, this is the microwave. Yes, he didn't say this are your 3 microwaves. So no one, we had to go to customer service to pay for it. Nobody caught it there. There was a special going on with it being 4th of July that if you spent over X amount of dollars, you got X amount back. No one at customer service knew what I was talking about. I pull it up online. They're like, no, that's not it. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Like this, oh my God. Then I called the store manager over and he was like, no, he's like, hold on. And I tell him, he's like, yeah, he tells the girl at front, like, there's a piece of paper next to the register. You just scan it. Like, it gives them the percentage off. I'm like, how many people have
come through here on a Monday afternoon? Right.
And not gotten their money off that they deserved. And so the manager was really, really awesome because the girl had gone too far in the transaction that they couldn't put that code on. And she's like, well, maybe do your Lowe's card. And so he's like, all right. He's like, do you want the 5% off or do you want interest free? And I was like, I don't think I can get that deal with my Lowe's card by getting this money off on the 4th of July sale. Like, I'm being honest, like, I think it's in the fine print. He's like, I can't fix that. So just pick whatever one you want. Like, he's like, I'm just so sorry you had to wait this long. He was really nice. And I was like, well, we're not going to let it sit on there. So I'm going to take 5% off. I don't need to worry about the interest,
Right.
And so he's like, all right. And then he went back and like was able to give me the $700 credit for the deal that was going on and just put that back on my Lowe's card. So he really did his best to like try to make this happen for us. But it's like, seriously, like we spent $6,000 that day, plus a lot of our building materials we're buying from Lowe's. Like, I don't know. I just thought it was just crappy. The whole situation was crappy. So I got to go return 2 microwaves. Oh.
That's insane. How long do you have till you can return it?
It doesn't say, but I told Jason we got to do it this week. I don't want time to go by, or else you're going to be getting a microwave for Christmas.
That's all right. I'll take one. I don't know where I'll put it. I almost had to get a new one because the one I had was beeping at me. That's where it all started. And I'm pretty sure your microwave's not going to fit in my hole. I mean, in my microwave hole, because I think I think I have a mini microwave. I think they make these special for an RV. I'm pretty sure everything's tiny.
Probably.
What the heck's that noise going on outside? It sounds like fireworks.
I don't know.
I have to tell you something funny.
One craziness. Yeah, I love funny. Give me funny.
So I got this text message from someone who sent me this message that my old neighbor on Lyons, where I moved out of, got arrested for selling mushrooms. They did like a sting operator. Yeah.
Like your old neighbor with the turtles?
No, the one that was. We always said he was a drug dealer. That was Taylor and I's nickname for him. Totally was him. I thought he had the ganja, like the weed. I didn't know he was doing the magic mushrooms. So I was like, no. Someone sent me that text. I'm like, no, I always knew. What can I say? I tell you. Yeah. Well, he would leave all hours of the night. Like, I don't know if he would have them come to his house because it was like one of those triplexes. So it was like, I'm pretty sure parking was noticeable, but he would leave at all. I'm like, where's this dude going? Because he had a diesel, so you could hear him, So I'm like, where's this guy heading out to? So sure enough, who knew? I'm like, figures. He was a drug dealer. I will tell you, I went today for a bike ride to clear my head.
How did it go? Do you feel better?
I sweat. I was like mudding because it was like wet. It was raining, and I was like, I have mud all the back of my butt and my shoes. I came home looking like a hot mess, but I felt pretty good. I just needed to get out and just get from underneath the camper and just kind of like, I put on some, Baby Got Back music, and I was just riding out, boy. I didn't even care. I was like, doom, out. So I felt better.
I was broom sweeping that like house pad because we got there and it rained so much today, and so there's a lot of water. I didn't know what else to do. Like, I'm not like, I just didn't, like I said, didn't want Jason up on anything high with nobody else there. So I was like, well, let me just start moving some water out of here. Well, there's so much like dirt on the house pad because before you pour the headers, like you put sand around the edge so that if any concrete pours over, it lands on the sand and then you get the sand off and it's not stuck to the pad. So, but now mixed with water, there's mud everywhere.
Gotcha.
And so I thought, at least I can do this,
Right.
And so I asked Jason, I was like, so when the trusses are on, you come in here and pressure? Like, I don't know, do you pressure wash this stuff? I don't understand, And he's like, no, like everything will dry up, you sweep it out. And then he's like, you know what? He's like, it's probably, because I felt like I was just useless. I was just doing busy work or something, And he's like, no, it's actually really good that you're cleaning the floors because they have to do framework before the trusses can come in. Because there's some framing that has to be done because they're load-bearing walls. So they have to frame those walls up. And so obviously the slab has to be clean. You don't want dirt under your wall. So my job was important, but it was awesome. Like moving, like just pushing the broom and like moving water and dirt. Like it was like a workout. And like I felt like I was accomplishing something in life. Like I'm such a loser. Like this is my life. I'm so excited to go push broom around.
Hey, take it where you can. Don't you never know, don't beat yourself up about that. That's for sure. Well, I have to give you some exciting news because this is going to be episode number 36. No, this is going to be 37 for us. I think we're going to be pushing out. And so I was just looking at the numbers, and we're at about 2,600 downloads, which is awesome. And that doesn't include what we have going on with YouTube. So I've been catching up and putting all of our videos on YouTube. So that's exciting. So I do want to tell everyone to make sure that they go like and love and give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, because we did a poll in one of our groups, Day Drinking Mom groups, whoop, whoop. And come to find out, which kind of rings true with the statistics that we're looking at, most of our listeners do listen to it from iTunes, which is pretty awesome. And the next one is Spotify. So probably about 70% of our listeners are picking it up on iTunes. So if you want to share us with others and we want to show up more frequently in the new podcast, if you give us 5-star reviews or you leave us a review, whether it's 5 stars or not, I don't care. If you love us, hopefully it's 5. We will then become more higher rankings for others to find us. So I know that I was looking for a new podcast this weekend, Taylor and I, and we are both obsessed with murders, and we found a podcast of a woman that she does it based off murders in Florida. So, but we typed in there murders in Florida, so we found her. So it's a pretty good podcast. She does all the little, she does the little audio side effects that I was just playing for you a minute ago. That's why I was like, where does she get those? And I'm like, oh my God, I could totally do those. So, but definitely make sure you guys are sharing our podcast. We appreciate all of our listeners. It's just, just us gabbing and talking about life and doing what we do. And I think that some people are listening to us and being able to reconnect with us, because I've seen people are like, oh my God, how's so-and-so, or how's this going? I'm like, hey, I talked about it in the podcast. I'm important. You remembered, So it's kind of funny that people are actually, like you said, it's like a diary of our lives, and we're just kind of like taking pictures and snapshots of it and putting it out there for the world. So thank you guys for listening so much. We really appreciate it.
Exactly. Hey, speaking of podcasts, have you ever listened, like I listen to Crime Junkies. It's obviously, I think a lot of people do, but after I listen to it, I feel like I'm in stealth mode when I get out of my car. I'm looking around.
Always.
Murder me. Like I'm always like pretty aware of my surroundings in general. Like when I went on my temper tantrum on Thursday, I went and got gas. I'm looking around. I'm thinking there's nobody really here. It wasn't late when we went here in our town. They roll the carpets up at 9 p.m. So it wasn't like it was really late. There was only like 2 cars and then one left at the gas station. I was like, someone could just abduct me and nobody would know. And I'm like, I gotta get in this car and go home where I'm safe.
I know. I kind of try to those kind of shows do kind of do that to you a little bit. I think they get, make you scared. Like when I go out of town, like when I drive, depending on where I'm going for work and stuff, I'm just a little bit more aware of my surroundings and like what's going on, and, just looking at people and just being mindful. It's just, you got to be aware, you just never know. I have to say, listening to, Crime Junkies, there was one on there, it wasn't too long ago, that came up, and it actually happened. I was actually living as a child in Fayetteville when it actually happened. It was when this guy, he was a sergeant in the Marines or the Army in the Fort Bragg, and he killed his family, and he tried to look like it was a Charlie Manson one. So it's kind of cool, because I remember my mother telling me about that, and it was just like this big uproar when we were living at the Army base. I think that's rain. That what it is? I got a new awning. Girl, I'm fancy pants. Mm-hmm. We fancy pants. Yeah, we all fancy. I'm like, don't let it hold water, James. We have to make sure it doesn't hold water. I don't want us to ruin our new, our awning, because it keeps the camper cool, because otherwise the heat's beating down on it. So, yeah, super exciting in my world, getting a new awning. What can I say? Woohoo!
Hey,
all right, guys. Well, thanks
for some serious changes for us.
I know. Trust me. It's the little things too. I think about too. Like even with washing clothes, because it's such an ordeal for me. Like I just can't go and wash clothes. Like I have to be thoughtful in how many towels that we have, because you just can't go down and wash them, or washing sheets, or just planning my meals. And like it's really made me, be more. It just it changes your perspective. And I'm wondering if I continue this way for however long it's going to be. Like, am I going to, I used to wash clothes every day. Every day I used to wash clothes. I like to wash clothes, and I love to fold them, and I love to put them away. I'm a fan of that. I don't know why. I like to clean. I have OCD. I clean toilets. Like, I just have this thing. I should have started my own cleaning business. So it's really hard for me not to clean.
I can't wait till you move in.
I'm telling you, it's my thing. I don't know why. I'm just like, I'd be at my friend's house when we were little, and I would like, let's clean your room. Like, let's make your mom happy. Like, I just love cleaning, and I'm just weird like that. I've had to let some of that go, cleaning in here, because we're all closed up, and the dogs and the hair, and I'm constantly sweeping and mopping and vacuuming. And I'm just kind of had to let that go, because otherwise I have huge anxiety about it and I can't sit down. But definitely washing clothes is huge for me. And I'm struggling with that. So, like, if I can get a load in the morning, I will, but I have to take the golf cart, you know. It's just, I think I make sure I got to make sure I got quarters. I'll go to the car wash, steal quarters from them and bring them back home, because, you know, they don't have quarters sometimes, they don't have dollars. So it's just a whole process. Like, I hate this. It's not easy, you know? So I've been trying to, like, maybe I'll start washing clothes once a week or keep washing clothes once a week like I do it now. But I do try to squeeze in some loads every now and then. But that's been hard for me. Probably the hardest thing is washing clothes, because James, he only has now he has a couple more work shirts in rotation, but he only had 3. So I had to make sure that he always had a work shirt. So that's probably why I wash clothes as much as I did. But his life is changing, so hopefully, you know, I'm still looking for the house. Nothing's really come up. There was one Shannon sent me today. They wanted $449, and it got reduced to $407. But the house is built in like '68. It's got nice bones. It's over there in Tropical Farms, but it's built in '68, and it does have some nice bones. But for $407,000, I'd like it to be updated. You know.
Well, maybe y'all could buy something, right? And the market's continuing to explode, so in a year you could sell it and make money, and then the market explodes like James thinks, and it blows up, and then you made all that money off of it, but you still got to live someplace for a year outside of the camper.
I don't know. A girl almost pulled a trigger on a house in Port St. Lucie last week because I was so over it. I was like, James, just put an offer in sight unseen. I don't even care. I'm like, let's just do it. He's like, you don't want to go look at it? I'm like, no, let's just buy it. I'm like, hold up, regroup, step it off. Yes, but you're right. That's always a possibility, and that's what you see out there too. I mean, you know, people are doing that and flipping them, so you never know. Hopefully we'll see with this election. Maybe things will change for the good or for the bad. Hopefully for the bad in my part, so that I can capitalize on that. But I don't know. We'll see. All right. Well, that's about it, guys. Thanks so much for listening to our show this week. We really appreciate all you guys listening and keeping in tune with us. Bye.
Yes, and bye.